Hello, everyone. This is James with Unity of Greenville. Thanks so much for joining with me this wonderful day. Every day is a wonderful day if you choose to let it be, let it be, let it be, right? Absolutely. All right. So we're open today to learn, we're open to gain wisdom, we're open to discover any knowledge that we might need in this moment that can help and aid and assist our lives and becoming the highest and best version of ourselves that we are meant to be, and we give thanks. Emmett Fox says that the root of all difficulties is a lack of the sense of the presence of God. It is a lack of the sense of the presence of God. When I walk outside and I'm in nature, there is a sense of divinity in it all. There's a sense of divinity in the people around me, in where I go and what I do. And I always want to be aware of that. I always want to keep that sense of awareness within. So in the past several weeks, we've uh, traveled through the progression of faith, peace, and love. So it's time to embrace the fullness of joy. Today, we're going to discuss some divine timing, some release, ideas of release, and also about how we can give birth to a new transformative experience, become aware of a new reality, a new understanding in a new year. Well, the Bible says joy to the world. The revelation of Christ, or the Christ consciousness, has come, is being birthed in our midst. And we know that that Christ consciousness is always being birthed in our midst. It is always um, being revealed. If we can see it, if we take the time to notice, if we're watching, if we know what we're looking for. So joy is the fulfillment of all of these other steps and stages. Joy is the fulfillment. It's the happy completion of something. It is the release and the joy felt with a job well done. Have you ever been working on something for a long period of time and finally you reach the conclusion, you reach the finish line, and you're done with the work? And there's a release in that moment. There's a relief, maybe. There's also a sense and a feeling of accomplishment and joyful awareness. Galatians 4:4, it says, "But when the fullness of time had come, God sent forth his son, born of a woman, born under the law." Now we know that it takes a woman 9 months in order to give birth to a baby. And during that 9 months, excuse me, I'm going to take a drink. Okay, I'm better now. So it takes 9 months to produce a baby. And during that 9 months, there are lots of changes that happens to a woman in the emotional and especially the physical body until finally she's ready to give birth. I know that Leah has delivered 3 bouncing baby boys, and they were all amazing. Their births were all unique and special and wonderful. But in one sense, they're brothers, and they were a lot alike when they were born, and they looked similar but different. And all of their births were unique. So it takes 9 months. But finally, the day comes, and I remember when the baby came forth, and Leah was so excited and so happy. She was also relieved, and she was just grateful for the release because of all the pressure that is built And that's what happens when you are ready to give birth to something new. There's a lot of intense internal pressure to get the job done, to do the best job that you can do to the best of your ability. Now, in the scripture that I just read about the fullness of time, when the fullness of time had come, it is the Greek word chronos. And that word is the idea of linear or chronological time. It refers to a specific amount of time, such as a day or an hour. It may feel like it's moving very quickly. Linear time always seems like it goes fast because of the particular perceiving of it and the way that we look at it. I know I can look back at my life, and there are times when I think, wow, I remember when I was 16 years old. It seems like yesterday. I can remember when I was in my 30s or my 20s or my 40s. I remember these times, and it's like it was yesterday because it moves quickly. And that's the way linear time works. But I want to tell you, you can slow it down a little bit, and you need to do that and experience it in a different way. There is another Greek word for the fullness of times, and it's the Greek word kairos. And kairos is the idea of right timing, perfect time, when everything lines up. It's like the star, the angel, the shepherds, the wise men, Herod, the prophets, Mary, Joseph, John, the prophets, all these different ones all came together, and and all the stars lined up, and there was an event that took place, and that's the way that Kairos time is. It's um, it's the idea of an opportunity, a time of opportunity, a moment or a season, such as a harvest time. And it speaks of this idea of synchronicity. Now, synchronicity is one of my favorite things to talk about. I wrote a whole book called Dancing with the Universe. It's all about synchronicity. It's about how everything is related to everything else, and everything connects with everything else. And when one thing moves, then it causes a ripple and a movement and another thing and another and another. And these are signs, and they are wonderful when we know how to read them. So when time slows down is the idea of learning how to enjoy the moment for what it brings to you. Okay? Learning to enjoy the moment, to notice and to embrace life rather than being in resistance and separation and separating yourself and resisting life. The more resistance you have in your life, the harder your life will be. The tougher it will be. It will be very difficult if you have a lot of resistance. So you want to learn how to live in this divine time, this time of opportunity, this season of release, and learn how to embrace and notice and pay attention to life. In Kairos time, there's two speeds. There's slow, and then there's slower. All right. Some people call this island time. And whenever you go on vacation, you're on an island. It's it's there's no clocks. There's nobody watching, telling you have to start work or stop work, or that you have this deadline that you have to meet, or you have this project that you have to finish. Nothing like that. It's just total pure existence. It is the joy of living. It's the joy of being alive. And this is the kind of experience that will help us to move through Chronos time and just squeeze and get every little drop of juice that we can get out of it, because it is, we're living in another perspective. We're living in a different realm of awareness. We're using a different part of our brain. We're accessing a deeper level of ourselves. And this is Kairos time. It's like when the singer that gets lost in the song, or the artist that becomes the painting, not in a hurry to finish it. They're just painting, they're just drawing for the pure joy of it. It's the inventor that moves through each detail with full consciousness and awareness. If you've ever read the story of Einstein, you know that he learned over 1,000 ways on how the light bulb did not work. And that's what you learn as an inventor. You learn all the ways it doesn't work so that you can find the one way that it does work. And that's what he did. And you have to be conscious, you have to be aware, because sometimes when we're working in areas, we're not fully attentive and we're missing little clues, we're missing little details that can help us to create what it is that we desire to create. So it's important to remember that life is not a race that you are trying to finish up, as fast as you can, but it is a steady, moment by moment awareness of joyful living. Would you agree with that? Or do you feel like it's a race? When you get in the car, you've got to get to where you're going as quickly as you can. You got to go get your stuff. You got to bring it back out to the car and put it in the car, and then drive home as fast as you can, unload everything, and then go back and sit in your favorite chair watching TV or whatever it is that you do. Is that what it's about? Or is it about stopping, smelling the roses along the way? You know, is it paying attention to the details? The things that we miss. Sometimes, my wife wonders about me sometimes, because when we go to the store or the restaurant or wherever it is that we're going, a lot of times I don't go the same way, because I like to see different areas. I like to drive through different subdivisions and just see, the homes and the houses. And right now, look at the decorations and look at the lights, and just, see people out doing things. And it's amazing to me that you don't see a lot of people outside anymore. Most people, even in the summertime, people are cooped up inside. I wonder why that is. Well, unfortunately, many people are just marking time. They're stuck in that chronos time. But see, life is not a race. It's not how fast you get it done. When you die, you're going to say, boy, I did that quick. What you want to say is, I experienced the fullness of joy. I experienced a full life. I had a full cup. In fact, it was brimming over. It was overflowing. That's the kind of life I want to live. I want to have that steady, moment by moment awareness of joyful living. Yeah. See, what does it mean to be full? Well, fullness is the idea of the maximum possible amount. You can't fit in anymore. You're full all the way to the top. Wow, what a beautiful thing. It's the opportune time. It's the critical moment. It's a propitious moment. Sometimes it's a decisive moment when one must act upon their beliefs. Sometimes it's a critical moment for your success, that if you just act in that moment, it could trip, some dominoes to create something that you've been wanting to create. Strike while the iron is hot. Have you ever heard that saying? Do you know what that means? That means that you're in the synchronistic flow of life. The energy is building through chronological time until you reach the season of opportunity. And when the season of opportunity comes, You want to strike while the iron is hot. You want to step forth and step forward and be there to claim your good, because you know what? You deserve good. You are a child of God. You're a child of the universe. You deserve a full cup of joy. Don't let anybody tell you that you don't have a right to be happy. You don't have a right to be joyful, because you absolutely do. You're a child of God. And you say, well, James, how do you know? Well, because you're alive. If you're alive, then you have a right to be alive. And if you have a right to be alive, you have a right to be happy in your life. You have a right to experience the good moments and the positive experiences. I mean, that's part of why we're here, because if you never really get the joy of it, then what do you have? Well, a lot of people, they walk around in misery. And in Unity, we tell people misery is optional. Folks, misery is optional. Okay. And the truth will make you free, but it might set you off first. it might it might upset you. And sometimes the truth will upset you when you hear it for the first time. That misery is optional. James, what do you mean it's optional? No, everybody just mulls through life and groans and gripes and complains, and that's just the way it is. It's a hard life. It's a bad, it's a hard old way, and nobody ever really is happy. They're just existing. Well, if you want to believe that, then welcome to that belief. That's your belief. Go ahead. It's your belief if that's what you want. Or you could say, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I want to be happy. I want to have some fun while I'm here. I want to enjoy my relationships. I want to get to know people. I want to understand what it means to have, you know, deep conversations. I want to understand what it means to know the divine in my life here and now, as a human being. What does it feel like? What does it mean to have that presence and that power in my life flow through me to other people? You know, I want to experience that in its fullness, you know. So pray for fullness. Pray, ask for it, because sometimes we think that not me, it's for somebody else. Obviously, the Dalai Lama, he sure seems happy. Well, he is happy because he knows the secret. He knows the secret. The secret is that life is joy, and joy is life, and joy is serving, joy is giving, joy is being present with all of it. It really is. So, this concept that we're talking about has its origin in the practice of Greek archery, okay? That represents the moment when the archer finds the perfect opening to shoot his arrow and hit his target. Wow. Now, it takes practice to hit the bullseye. It takes practice to hit the target. And you know what I find interesting is the word sin means to miss the mark, to miss the mark. And if you're missing the mark, it means you're not in the flow, you're not in divine timing, you're not allowing yourself to be in that state, that presence, that moment by moment steady awareness. You're missing the mark. So what you want to learn to do is acquire the ability of being slow, being slow. When you shoot that arrow, there's a moment, there's a second where you got the bullseye in your sights, and in that moment you've got it pulled back to the perfect spot, and there's no tension, and there's just a release, and that arrow goes forth, and you hit the bullseye. So the opposite of sin or missing the mark is to hit the mark, which means to live in the fullness of joy, right? To live in joy. People that walk around miserable, well, they're sinning. You know, they're missing the mark. They're missing the point. That's all the word sin really means, is just to miss the point. You're missing the point. You know, it's not because you're a bad person. It's not because you did the wrong thing or any of that. It has nothing to do with that. It has the connotation that you're not really living up to your full potential. Yeah. So something to think about. I used to play a lot of darts, you know, with friends. And I had a friend who he told me that he practiced the Zen mind whenever he played darts, and he just would just totally empty his mind, and then he would throw the dart. And do you know he would hit that bullseye so much more regularly than he missed it. It was amazing to see him hit the target because he wasn't thinking, wasn't trying to figure it out, analyze it, overanalyze everything, you know. But he was hitting the mark. He was hitting the target. And that's what we want to do. So, what do you do when you feel stuck in Chronos times? Well, let's think about the pregnant woman. What does a smart pregnant woman do? She learns to nurture herself, to eat healthy, take her vitamins, exercise, and just enjoy the process of being pregnant. Because, hey, you're going to be pregnant for 9 months. So you get used to it. You say, okay, this is my practice. This is my life right now. And I know that Leah has told me several times that being pregnant was some of her most precious and special times in her life because of the experience. So that's what you want to make it precious. You want to make it special. You know, people say, "Well, my life's not special." I ask them, I say, "Well, why don't you make it special? Why not? Why not make it sacred? Why not make it what you want it to be?" You know. So, in other words, I'm talking about learning how to enjoy the process of life and living. That's why we're here. We're not here just to, you know, run through the the gamut, you know, and I made it through the gauntlet. You know, they didn't hurt me too bad, you know. But that's not even the point, you know. The point is to enjoy your life. Now, if your dream does not unfold readily, you may be missing a piece of wisdom by not keeping this present moment awareness that we're talking about. Which present moment awareness will keep you connected to the stream of synchronistic unfolding of events. Did you get that? It's like a stream of water that moves you from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And you start to get this idea that life is a flow. Everything flows. You know, your body flows. And if it doesn't, well, you've got problems. You've got all these uh, arteries and veins and lymph nodes in your body that energy moves through. The blood flows through. The life force goes through, and you want them to be open. You want them to be alive or enlivened. You want them to be in such a way that the blood flows through easily, effortlessly, and perfectly, you know? And that's the way you want your life to be. But see, a lot of people, they don't hear this kind of talk. They don't hear people say, hey, go for it, rise above, you know? It can be better. It can be better than what it is. And even if it's just a little better, it's still better, right? It's still better, even if it's just a little better. So you just take a deep breath in every moment and you just get back up whenever you fall down and you keep moving toward the light, toward the beauty, toward the good. A Kairos moment can open up anytime, anywhere. It can be as minute as recognizing that sudden need to take a walk in the fresh air in order to clear your head. That can be a kairos moment. Um, Trusting that such a simple act of self-care is not a waste of time. Ah, isn't that what we think? Oh, I'm just wasting my time doing this. I should be working on my computer and doing all that. No, you should be out walking and breathing and living. This is, and you can't afford not to do this because it will help you. Meditation is not a waste of time. Every time you sit in the silence and in the quiet, you're meditating, you're deepening a part of yourself, you're gaining access to the wise mind, to the inner wisdom, to the inner well of joy that is within you. Like leisurely reading, it's okay to sit down and read a novel for fun, that makes you laugh or that is intriguing or interesting, or maybe a self-help book that you learn something. These are all good to do. Taking walks or just staring out the window or for goodness sakes, just going fishing, you know? And it's not about catching anything when you fish. It's about your state of being when you throw in the line and you just sit there patiently waiting for that subtle movement of the fish on your line. You know, that is the true act of fishing. It's not all the rest of it. That's the true. Now it's great. If you catch something, then you release it, or you take it home and you put it on your grill. Nothing wrong with that either. I don't think anyway. Sometimes gazing at a piece of art, have you ever looked at a picture and it's just so fabulous, and you look at the way that it's put together and you think about what was the person thinking when they put this art piece together? What were they thinking? Maybe it's abstract, or maybe it's a piece of fruit, or maybe it's you know, a person, or like the Mona Lisa. We went to the Louvre one time and we looked at the Mona Lisa, and what a beautiful piece. But you have to look at it to really see, that it really is something special. There's something unique about it. And that's the way it is with life. Everything is unique, everything is different. You are a masterpiece. You're a piece of art. Your whole life is, and what you do with it. If dancing and slow cooking, conversations of intentional listening, acting in the moment when your intuition speaks, so that you can strike while the iron is hot. All of these keep you attentive. They keep you open and in tune with the present moment. I remember several years ago, our community, we were looking to purchase a property. And we were just looking for that right and perfect property where it would be a park-like retreat experience for us. And we didn't know how it was going to come. We wanted water on the property. We wanted we wanted lots of land, so that we could expand and work it and grow. And, it took a while, took a year or two before it manifested. And we kind of compromised a long way, thinking, oh, well, maybe we should just settle and take this building. And so we tried to get it, and it didn't work out. It didn't work out. So finally, I remember the day, we just said, okay, we're going to just release it. We're just going to let it go and just let it happen in its own time. And it wasn't 2 weeks later, I had a dream. And in the dream, I saw the property. I saw myself walking through the property, walking on the property with my realtor, with our realtor, and she was telling us the price and she was telling us where it was. And I got all this information in the dream. So the next day, I woke up and I went downstairs and I got on my computer. And do you know what was in my inbox? picture of this property that we now own, and it was for sale. It had just come up that day. And I remember calling our um, realtor, and she said, we got to act quick, because in the dream I was told that we would have to act quickly in order to be able to get it. And that was exactly true, because it was that same day we went and looked at it, we put an offer, and that evening, we, along with two other folks that were trying to purchase the property, we got it, so we had it that same day. It was amazing. It was a miracle. I kind of look back and say, well, it was all divine timing, all of the stars had aligned. It was just that moment, that opportune time. And we acted on it. And we're here today because of that. And so I'm very grateful, very grateful. Now, there's one more kind of time that I want to share with you. I would just want to give it to you really quick. When it talks about the fullness, there's another Greek word. It's poleromar, or polerma. And it's the fullness, or the allness. It is the unmanifest, but it's also the fullness. And we access this fullness, or this allness, through the emptiness, or through releasing of thought and releasing of our anxiousness and our worries and our fear. And we access this fullness through the emptiness, or the spaces in between things. There are spaces in between the words, there are spaces in between the notes, and this is the polerma, and this is the fullness of wisdom. It is the mind of God, the mind of Christ. It is knowledge and everything that was, is, and will ever be. It is the overflowing, packed stuff, abounding, brimming forth with the joy of the divine. Could be called the Godhead, or the allness of everything and nothing. Also, it's called the Christ. And this is the realm of divinity. And this is what I want to stay connected to, because I've discovered that as long as I'm connected with this realm, that everything, flows through, and it keeps me in that kairos time. Because there is a realm that exists outside the human thinking, the human brain. You might even say, well, hey, this is where we go when we pass from this life. We go into the world of spirit, the quantum realm of possibilities. But you can live there now. You can operate from there now if you want to. And I've given you some thoughts. I've given you some tools today. And if you'll use these tools and practice them, it can help your life in so many ways. I appreciate you listening to me. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful holiday and a Merry Christmas, and whatever your tradition is, may you receive the fullness of peace, of love, and joy. Appreciate anyone that would like to make a donation to our Unity community. You can go to unitychurchofgreenville.org. Thank you for giving. We receive it gratefully and graciously. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you next time.